And without further ado, I would love to introduce Beth, Beth and Hardian.
Thanks very much, Marissa. This is Beth. I'm going to go ahead and move the slides forward for my little intro slide. I don't have a picture, but my picture shows up in my profile in the room. But I'm Beth Stinson. I'm an instructional design manager here at Blackboard. I work in the user experience group in product development. My Twitter handle is there. I've been with Blackboard since 2008. Before that, I worked at WebCT, and before that, I worked in higher ed for about 18 years. I love ed tech, and so I'm very pleased to be here with you today. My co-presenter, Hardian.
Hi, yes, my name is Hardian Muljadi, and I'm a senior user interface designer at Blackboard. There's my Twitter handle there as well. I've been at Blackboard since 2011, so about 2.5 years now. Responsible for visual designs and providing that for our design solution. Also committed in making sure that the code that we deliver is fully accessible. We're taking accessibility seriously, putting that into account as early in the design process as possible. Today I'm going to be helping moderate and answering questions in the chat if folks have any. So very excited to meet all of you.
Thanks very much, Hardian. So I'm going to move on here. I have some minimalist types of slides here, but for our session today, we're going to show you the results of a survey that we took earlier this year on accessibility issues and what matters most to you, our clients. All right, terrific. So we have a pretty split audience. I'm sure people wear multiple hats at their institution, so I will go ahead and make sure that I try and address accessibility across all of those different roles at your institution. But so going forward today, I want to talk about building an accessible learning management system and then adding accessible content. I'm going to give you a live demonstration on captioning video. And then finally, we'll show you some of the latest accessibility features in Blackboard Learn. But when applications are accessible, everyone is successful. And learning management systems should be simple and efficient and usable for all users. And building an accessible learning management program means thinking about this from the perspective of all clients. So really, this poll we took was we needed to find out what matters most to you. And I want to show you what you had to say. We received 148 responses, mostly from higher education market. So first of all, we asked what were the barriers to accessibility at your institution? And here's what you told us. Lack of knowledge in this context means not knowing how to create accessible content and help students use accessibility features and learn. And the difference is from lack of awareness, which means working in a community that does not realize that creating and using accessible tools and content is a legal and ethical requirement. So a little bit of clarity there between what lack of knowledge and lack of awareness means in this particular context. But lack of time was certainly a consideration, and challenges with learning using the learning management system. And in our poll, we also, drilled down a little bit to find out where, the biggest knowledge gaps were. And here's what you told us. You didn't have a lot of information about assistive technology, captioning video, and using Flash. So I just want to give you a couple of kernels of information about these things for some context. So assistive technology is any hardware, software, or combination that provides extra help for people to navigate and access applications and content. Assistive technology examples would include anything from a hearing aid to Braille keyboard, specialized input devices like a foot pedal, adjustable furniture, screen magnifiers, screen readers, voice recognition software, and there are many more, but these are some examples. We're going to cover captioning video in more detail later on in the presentation. Using Flash came up. So Flash is a platform used to create video and interactive online experiences. Flash isn't accessible to all devices, especially iPads and iPhones, so that cuts out people right there. And then a lot of the interactive experiences that are coded in Flash can pose some accessibility problems for people who are blind, people who have low vision, and then people who experience mobility problems. So that's just something to be aware of using Flash. We're going to talk a little bit about how Blackboard Learn is accessible. Accessible PowerPoint came up. So you want to make sure that you have descriptive information for people who can't read the graphics on the slide. And then if you're narrating, you want to make sure that you have a transcript for people who can't hear the narration. And then other learner challenges, discovering the types of challenges that learners have at your institution. One suggestion is to work with your Student Services Office to understand the types of challenges that learners face and the types of assistive technology that may be available to students on campus. I have some resources that I can share with you at the end of the program to discover more about what these challenges are for students. And then students told us that some of the biggest challenge areas for them are captioning, right up at the top, and time on tests, very common accommodation for student requests here. And at the end of the program, we will show you some test exceptions, the feature that's been added to Learn, where you can provide accommodations for students taking tests. So where do you start? There's a lot of information. You have a learning management system, and then you have content that you're putting into it. So really, both of these things add up to student success. So you'll have an accessible learning management system, and then you'll have accessible content, and your students will be successful. So I want to talk first about learning management system, Blackboard Learn. And really, learning management systems are complex applications. And Blackboard Learn isn't any different. It's interactive for teachers and students. And we work with complex applications that deal with a lot of information, and it can be both static and dynamic content. Most applications in the market aren't really designed with accessibility in mind. It's sort of an afterthought when somebody asks about it. Only universal designed applications can really be utilized effectively by users who have disabilities. And universal design is an approach to design of all products and environments to be usable by everyone to the greatest extent possible, regardless of age, ability, or situation. And universal design benefits everyone by accommodating limitations, which are natural and to be expected and part of the human condition. So really, Blackboard's commitment and approach is we want to ensure that Blackboard Learn is designed using universal design principles. And so we're creating a platform that can bring positive educational experiences to all users. And the input we receive from our clients and in the development and testing processes we've established helps us learn more about what it means to build universally designed applications and to continue to invest in developing accessible products that can meet such diverse user needs. So we have different types of people that we use to help us understand universal design. We work with third-party testing companies. We work with people in the community who have particular disabilities who test out our software and give us input on the design. And we set up testing in our QA process to make sure that our applications work with different types of assistive technology. So Blackboard as a learning management system has really in the market unmatched accessibility. We are the first and only learning management system to deliver third-party verified conformance with W3C's web content accessibility guidelines. And W3C is the World Wide Web Consortium, and it's an international community that develops open standards that ensure long-term growth of the web. And part of these standards have to do with accessibility. And WAI is the Web Accessibility Initiative, and WCAG is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And the goal of WCAG is providing a single shared standard for web content accessibility that meets the needs of individuals, organizations, and governments internationally. So we have reached conformance to the guidelines for 2.0 level AA. And really what that means is our learning management system or our content meets the criteria that has been established internationally based on 4 principles that are perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And each of these guidelines has testable criteria for success, and that's what's been verified by our third party for our conformance statement. Most criteria only have 1 level, but some have 3, and we're conformed at least to 2.0 or level AA across our application. We also are the first learning management system to receive an NVA certification from the National Federation of the Blind, and the first and only to be awarded the Jacob Bodelin Award for groundbreaking work in accessibility. But that's one part of the equation, and the second part of the equation is accessible content. So we'll have a learning management system that meets accessibility standards, but also too, we want to make sure that the content that you put in your courses is accessible. So I'm going to give you a real quick checklist here for adding accessible content to your course. So you want to make sure that images have alternate text or descriptions. And when you upload images to Blackboard Learn, you're automatically given the opportunity to add those that alt text or description as the file's uploaded into the system. If you're adding attachments for Word documents, you want to make sure that they're properly structured. And when I say that, I mean that you are using the styles in Word to set up headings. So you would have a heading 1 and a heading 2 and a heading 3, and you would have paragraph text. And this allows screen readers to understand the architecture of your document and to understand the importance of each level of information that's created in that document. If you are just using formatting with the font making it 22-point bold, that does not come across in a screen reader, and all the text would seem the same to someone. When you're creating tables in Word documents, you want to make sure that those tables contain data and that you're not using tables to format your page. Screen readers, again, tell people who can't see the screen how the information is set up and lets them know that there's data there. If you're using a table to format your screen, it introduces an element of misunderstanding to people trying to know what's on the screen and how it's organized. If you're attaching PDF documents, you can use Adobe Acrobat's accessibility features and make tagged PDFs, and that again works with screen readers and other assistive technologies to allow people to understand how the document is structured and what's a heading, what's an image, and what is paragraph text. When you're creating courses, you want to make sure that your instructions are really clear and succinct so students understand what they need to do. Part of those instructions includes where students can get help. If students are taking a test and the test times out or something quit, they need to know who to contact in order to report that. If students don't understand an assignment or reading, you want to make sure that they know who to contact for that information. And the same with if students are experiencing any type of technical problems online. Again, you want to make sure that students know where to get help. If you are using a color palette to design your course, if you are using colored text, you want to make sure that your color choices have proper contrast so that people who experience low vision and have color blindness can understand the distinctions and read the text against the background. And then based on our poll, you want to make sure that your videos are captioned. And this was, again, from the results of our poll, one of the biggest places where people needed understanding and needed some help on how to do that. So I want to first talk a little bit about what captioning is and the different types of captioning. And then I'm going to open a browser and I'm going to show you how to add captions in YouTube. So captioning is really important to many different types of learners. And it's really important to me. I find that captioning is really valuable when I'm watching international television. I can either turn the volume way, way up and drive everyone out in my living room, or I can turn the captions on. If I'm trying to watch a video on my phone and I forgot my headphones, I can put the captions on and I can understand what's going on. But captioning is really important for accessibility. It makes videos accessible to people who are deaf or hard of hearing, but also for students who have certain types of neurological processing problems, non-native speakers, people who even struggle with basic literacy, children who are learning to read, and people who are working in noisy environments. So captioning is really a fantastic way to add another level of accessibility to video content. There's different types of captioning, so I want to talk a little bit about that. The number one area for student concern really came through with captioning video. So there are different levels of captioning, and I think most people are familiar with what's called closed captioning. That appears on your television. You see the little CC symbols everywhere. So closed captioning really means that you can turn them on or off. There are also certain legal requirements for television sets that are built in the United States or marketed in the United States. They have to have the ability to play closed captions. There's audio description, which is a form of captioning that includes more information than just the narration. And the picture on the slide here is an example of what that is. So you describe the sounds that are happening in the video. So students whispering, floor creaking, glass shattering are examples of audio description. Another example, and this can go back to making accessible PowerPoint, is when you're narrating PowerPoint slides and you say something like, as you can see, the three main points support the conclusion. But you don't say what those three main points are because they're displayed on the slide. An audio description would fill in that missing content. So the three main points that support the conclusion are point 1, point 2, point 3. So again, that's a part of an audio descriptive type of captioning. And a really easy way to avoid missing things is to have a storyboard that the narrator can read when you're recording audio. There's real-time captions, and that takes place during a synchronous event, such as streaming television, a news bulletin, or a live sporting event. Also, real-time captioning happens with VoIP or in a Collaborate session. This is a service that's provided, and oftentimes there's a cost because a real person needs to listen and record those captions as they're happening over time. There's open captions. And open captions can't be turned off, so that's the opposite sort of closed captions. They're always on the screen. And open captions are created as a graphic overlay on the video. And so they're part of the video track, and so they don't have a separate track like closed captions do, and therefore they're always part of the picture. There are arguments for and against closed captions versus open captions. For closed captions, you need to know how to turn them on in order to watch them. In open captions, there isn't that barrier. They're always on. But if you don't want them, you can't turn them off. And then finally, there's subtitles. And I think a lot of people have experienced subtitles when they've gone to a movie and a foreign film. So that a lot of times it's just the dialogue between people that's translated from one language to another, and it appears in text in the bottom of the screen. Subtitles usually assume that viewers can hear and see what's going on, so that they get the story from watching, and then they just understand the dialogue by reading the language that's been translated. So those are the different forms of captioning. And before we get into the demonstration, I also want to show you that you can find captioned content to add to your course by doing a search using a closed caption filter. So in YouTube, I put in a search for MOOCs, and I came up with about over 37,000 hits for videos on YouTube about MOOCs. But then when I added the filter CC to my search terms, I came up with just over 1,000, which is still, you have 1,000 to choose from. But if you use this filter when you're searching for content to add to your course, it will guarantee that what you select has closed captions, and therefore you don't have to create them yourself. So the easiest way to make sure that you have captions is to use a search filter for captioning when you're looking. You can filter if you're searching for video content in iTunes, so you would put in your search term, and then you would select with closed captioning, and that will filter the returns, and anything there will automatically be captioned, and then you can add that. And let's see, I think I have one more. So Hulu is another place where you can find video content. A lot of television is there. And again, it has a filter so that you can filter your selections, and so it would only return closed caption content. So I'm just about ready to share my browser, but this is an overview of how to caption a video with YouTube. The most important piece of advice I can give you is to have a storyboard. You are allowed to caption any videos in YouTube that you own and upload to YouTube. The storyboard is really important. Even if you're making off-the-cuff videos, at least have an outline of what you're going to say typed out. And it may take a little extra time up front, but it will save you time in the long run. With a storyboard, you'll just sound better in your video. You'll make fewer retakes. And you'll also be able to copy and paste your narration into the YouTube text editor for closed captions instead of trying to type it out after the fact. So make your storyboard, create your video, upload it to YouTube. You have to wait a certain amount of time. I found between 2 and 6 hours. Sometimes it's longer depending on how busy YouTube is. Log back in, and you edit and you add your captions. So I'm going to see here if I can share my browser here. And if you could give me a green check mark if you can see my browser, which is at YouTube. Okay, it looks like it's successful. So I'm logged in to YouTube account. I'm going to go to this upload button and I'm going to click Video Manager. And this will give me a list of all the videos that I own on my channel. And then I'm going to find the video that I want to caption. So here's my video right here. I'm going to caption Blackboard tip text. I'm going to click Edit. And here's my video that I have already uploaded into the system. Up here is a button, CC Caption, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And automatic captions have already taken place. That time that you need to wait is the time that YouTube needs to go through and run the automatic captioning that they provide on the site. So I'm going to click this, and it's going to open a text editor that is time synced to the video that I uploaded. And if I have a storyboard that matches my narration, I can just copy and paste the text in here. If I don't have a storyboard, I can go ahead and type in text. When I click out of it, it's automatically saved. And then I can click in here and I can correct any typos or misinterpretations of the automatic captioning program that's run in YouTube. This tool will probably get you about 80 or 85% of the way there for captioning. Although sometimes some of the misinterpretations are really hysterical. And I have shared some of them out with some of my colleagues because it was very funny about how it's misinterpreted things. If you are using this tool, you want to make sure that you do go in and correct them, because if someone clicks on the closed caption button in the video player and you haven't corrected your captions, they may get a good laugh, but also too they may misunderstand what's happening in the video. So really it's pretty easy. You just go through and you make your corrections. It's automatically saved, and you can go through. You can add punctuation, you can add capitals, all of that stuff. And then really your captioning is done. A good check is to go through and then play your video and look and make sure that the captions are correct with what the speaker's saying, and then you're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Get back to my PowerPoint. And so we have really pretty much covered all of this. And it's, again, the automatic captioning will get you 80–85% of the way there. If you have a storyboard that you created ahead of time, you can copy and paste your narration directly in that text editor, and you can be done with this process very quickly. We have some resources to share with you if you want to learn more about creating accessible content. So an accessible experience in Blackboard Learn requires a platform and content. We have a universal design course that's available on course sites that will explain universal design, accessibility standards and laws. It also talks about assistive technology, and also it talks about making content in different types of media, going toward learning styles, meaning that there would be text, video, audio, interactive exercises, that type of thing. So we invite you to check that out. You can, it's a unfacilitated course. You can go in and work through the content in any order and in any time frame. If you'd like to get involved with our community for accessibility, we have a client accessibility interest group, and we can make all these resources available to you offline, so you don't have to copy anything down. And we have an accessibility partners group. So these are part of our client program. And then here's some places where you can get more information and more help. At blackboard.com, accessibility, we have general information. We have video demonstrations of using a screen reader. We have a VPAT and some other resources. Occasionally, folks at Blackboard blog about accessibility issues, so you can check out the Blackboard blog and search for accessibility. Help.blackboard.com has information on how to use Blackboard, and there is information about accessibility features in Learn. And finally, the On-Demand Learning Center has some information about disability challenges that different groups of people experience and what you can do in your course content to make your course universally designed. So at this point, I'd like to turn things over to Hardian, and he's going to walk us through some product improvements for accessibility that have come out in the last year or so. So Hardian? Thank
you, Beth. So we're going to show you just several screenshots of some of the things that we've been doing in terms of improving accessibility. The first one is Content Editor for Everyone, and this particular feature is available now in Service Pack 10. We've made it easier for keyboard-only users to access the formatting tools that are available in the Content Editor. We added the instructional tooltip that appears above the Content Editor that says press tab to enter the Content Editor, and for the toolbar, press Alt plus F10 if you're on the PC, or Alt plus Function plus F10 if you're on the Mac. So that's an easy way for you to switch back and forth between the formatting tools and Content Editor. The next one is the calendar feature, the new calendar feature. It is a part of the Service Pack 10, and it's available as a building block. For this feature, we work with our accessibility partners to make sure that the page elements and interactions make sense. We integrated ARIA attributes and properties and ensured that our markup is standard, also providing an experience that is both predictable and clear. We also made some improvements to the tabbing experience to make that more seamless. So that is for new calendar. The next one is Video Everywhere. With the inclusion of the Video Everywhere feature, which is available now in Service Pack 10, you can record yourself giving your lecture for students who can lip read. You can allow your sign language interpreters to record the American Sign Language translation of your audio material. Students can also even record their sign conversations to be posted to blogs and discussions. Video Everywhere is, like I said, is available in Service Pack 10. For the next feature that we worked on is something called the discussion board. The Learn discussion board recently received a major makeover. We did a complete redesign to the look and feel, as you can see, making it pretty much easier for our users to consume the content and also to post replies. We paid special attention to ensure that the markup that we use to code this is standard and accessible. The next part of this particular screenshot is to show how easy it is to post. The experience of posting a reply is now contained within the single view, so you can see which particular post you're replying to. This feature is available in Service Pack 11 as a building block. And another feature that we added to make our application more accessible is quick links. This feature syndicates all page landmarks that you have on the page and also headers. So it makes it especially simple for our keyboard users to scan the content of the page quickly and also to jump straight from one section to another. You can bring up this menu anytime by pressing Control-Alt-M, Control-Alt-M, and also the link to launch this feature is also the first focusable element on our Learn pages. So we also added a list of keyboard shortcuts that is readily available on this page, and this particular feature is available in Service Pack 12. And last but not least, the test availability exceptions feature allows instructor to select one or more groups of students and make a number of exceptions to the already established availability settings. So in the past, a teacher would have to create different tests for every exception, and that just led to grading and workflow nightmare. You can use this exception to provide accommodation to a disabled student or provide accommodation for technology and language differences. Exceptions can be created based on the number of attempts, time of test, auto-submit, which you can turn on or off, availability of tests using start and dates, and forced completion, which you can turn on or off. This feature is available in Service Pack 12. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Beth to talk about the summary of our talk today.
Thanks so much, Hardian, for summarizing all the new accessibility features in Learn. Available Service Pack 10, 11, and 12, I believe we covered today. So from what we heard from you, based on a recent survey we sent around, that there are specific barriers to accessibility at your institutions. Knowledge and awareness and challenges using the learning management system are at the top for faculty and instructional designers and administrators. So hopefully today we've shared a little bit of knowledge with you of some of the changes in the learning management system and given you some strategies to incorporate captioned video into your courses. And then from students, captioning really is one of their biggest challenges. Time on test and using the discussion board are barriers for accessibility for students. So we talked about captioning. We showed you test exceptions. The discussion board has been made easier to use. And also, too, if you provide, again, specific instructions for what your expectations are for students using the discussion board, it certainly helps them understand how to use it and if they're going to be graded, what types of submissions are acceptable. And then with the other use of video everywhere in the text editor available through the discussion board, students who are deaf can sign to each other with American Sign Language and use the discussion board that way. Some of the knowledge gaps, again, was captioning, having an accessible learning management system, and hopefully we've showed you some of the newest features, again, that you can use to make everyone's experience with Blackboard Learn more accessible. And then the learner challenges. And there are some resources that we can provide you that discusses in a higher level detail the types of challenges that people face. But also, too, I would, if you haven't, visit your Student Services Department and get to know Disability Services Coordinators, find out the types of equipment and software packages that are available at your institution for students who have disabilities. And that will help close the knowledge gap for learner challenges. So we certainly have some time left, and we're happy to take questions. So I'm gonna, I guess, turn it back to Marissa.
That sounds good. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Hardian. I think we've kept up with there are a few questions in the chat. Those have been answered. Are there any other questions or feedback that folks would either like to add in the chat window, or you're welcome to grab the microphone? We have a question from Paula. Are the accessibility measures and recognitions primarily aimed at users who are learners rather than instructors? We have an instructor who is blind and uses a screen reader. She found it very challenging, even difficult. Do you have any assistance you could provide to help instructors?
Perfect question. So the LMS itself is set up to be accessible, but yet some of the interactions can be challenging for instructors, definitely who are blind or have some vision issues. If there are specific workflows that you want to send off to us, we can investigate further and find out and maybe give you some strategies on how to help.
On the discussion boards, can students use screen readers to read the question?
Yes. The screen reader should interact with every facet of Blackboard Learn.
Okay, thanks, Beth. The people, looks like people are typing, so we'll give everyone a couple questions. There was a question, will the recorded session be posted online? Yes, it will be posted in YouTube, and the link will be shared.
Yes, that was my question, because I was somehow disconnected from the whole discussion. I just came back in about 5 or so minutes ago. I think it had something to do with the Java. So anyway, you're going to post it online. You're going to send us a link, is that right?
Yes, correct. It will be posted on YouTube, and then once that's made available, a notification.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Another question, will screen readers read alt text included with a picture before it is posted to Blackboard, or does the alt text field need to be filled in again when an image is posted in Blackboard?
I'm not exactly sure alt text included with a picture. Are you talking about metadata that would go with a picture? Because alt text is a HTML tag or attribute. So when you're adding a graphic to Blackboard, you are essentially creating HTML content, and so you would add the alt text or the description when it's uploaded.
Okay, yes, we did clarify when an instructor has added the alt text and then adds it to Blackboard. But that answered your question. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, I think that is all. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope this was informative for all of you. We will have another meeting on October 21st. This session will be incorporating gamification into your curriculum, and that will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your day. Thank you, Beth, and thank you, Hardian, for all the wonderful information. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone.